By the time I joined her, she was just about to go on maternity leave. So she trained me in her position, and I took over. And unfortunately, when she returned, she was in another team, but we remained friends.
Why do you say unfortunately?
Because it would have been nice to work with her again and have her on the same team.
Did, I assume you're close in age?
Fairly. Mm-hmm.
And at the time you said May went out on maternity leave, do you know whether or not she had children already?
Yes, she was pregnant with baby number 2, Millete.
Did you get to become friends and outside of work? In other words, spend time and actually spend time around her children?
Yes, definitely.
Did you have an opportunity to observe May at work and her work ethic?
Yes, she was just downstairs from me. She quickly became a team lead. So I would go to her for advice or to proof work.
Would you say she was ambitious in terms of her career?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
She was clearly devoted to her position, whatever it was, and her team, her employees. She trained up a lot of employees.
How old, do you know, if you know, is that second child now? Roundabout.
11? No, her birthday's in the summer, so 10 or 11.
And did you know who her firstborn child was?
Laura May.
Describe your relationship then as it grew over the years with May.
We remained close. I mean, even though we were on separate teams at Swarmick, we'd get coffee together, lunch, go out to lunch, go out to eat after work, and then we'd spend, the kids' birthdays, our birthdays. I think we've gone on a couple girls' trips, maybe one family trip.
So you have children of your own?
Now I do.
And are any of them the same age or similar ages to May's children?
Yes, Tristan and my son are only 10 days apart, so we were pregnant at the same time.
You refer to Tristan, does he also go by another name?
Yes, Lazarus.
What did May call Tristan or Lazarus?
Tristan.
So that's what, when you refer to Tristan, you're referring to what other people may, her son that other people may refer to as Lazarus?
Yes.
And then, did you leave the country for some period of time?
I did. In 2015, I continued on to another command, NASA FLC San Diego, Fleet Logistics Center San Diego. Same base, so we were still close. And at that time, I had encouraged her to come with me, to join me there. But again, she was like, I just want to stay here and see what my position will take me. I really like what I'm doing, really like my teams. So she stayed. But I do think that she interviewed with FLC and declined. So.
Where did you go? I'm sorry, did you leave? Her question was, did you leave the country?
That year, upon moving on to FLC San Diego, I did transfer to FLC Yokosuka, Japan, 2015.
How long were you in Japan?
4.5 years.
Where did you come back to after leaving Japan?
The same command, FLC San Diego.
So that would have been when, about?
We returned in July of 2020.
Did you continue to communicate with May while you were in Japan?
Yes,
What was
even
your-
more so.
What would you say method of
Four of us girlfriends, 2 of us were in different time zones, so that was the best way for us to communicate.
Did you have you mentioned 2 other friends. Did you have a group messenger chat among a certain group of friends?
Yes.
Who were those people?
In addition to May and me, it was also Courtney and Allie.
Is that Allison Volkening?
Yes.
And what's Courtney's last name?
Nixon. Cobbs Nixon.
Is Cobb's maiden name?
Yes.
Okay. And Nixon was her married name?
Yes.
How often would the four of you communicate?
Daily.
And when would you say that daily communication began? Years ago, or that be?
Even before Courtney and I had gone overseas to work, even before that, we already had a group chat. But I would say even after we went overseas, we talked more, actually.
When you say talk, you're talking about messaging.
Text messaging. Mm-hmm.
And text messaging within Facebook Messenger.
Yes.
Was May on social media that you're aware of?
Yes.
And what social media were you aware of her being present on?
Facebook and Instagram.
Did you communicate with her while in Japan?
So initially earlier than March. that he had total control of when she'd be able to see the kids, and that if there was a custody battle that she would probably lose, just because she didn't have a form of childcare and she worked full time. Up to this point, they had a lot of help from his parents taking care of the kids whenever they worked.
And did you have an opportunity to observe her around the kids?
Yes, of course.
When you saw her, you were friends with her on Facebook.
Yes,
Did she post photographs of her children?
a lot.
Did you also have the chance to see her interact with her kids?
Yes.
What was your observation in general of May and her interaction with her children?
She was a doting mom. Loved the kids. I mean, naturally, as she was thinking about things, we kind of explored all the different outcomes, right? Whether she stayed with him and worked things out, how it would be if they divorced, how that would be, and of course, what would happen to the children was in the forefront of that.
I want to direct your attention now to a different exhibit, Exhibit 7. Do you mind if I approach the witness to help get her to
No.
that
No.
section of the binder?
This is a big binder.
It's a big
Every time I
binder.
flip the page is too much, I get the rings on.
Oh,
You're not gonna flip that to 36.
no. Done with 36. And this should be now in succession, anyway, starting with 7. Looking at 7-1, do you recognize who's in that photograph? Or actually, there's 2 photographs on that exhibit. Do you see each of those photographs?
Yes, I do.
And who do you recognize in, let's look first at the photograph, as you look at the exhibit on the left.
That would be May and her 2 girls, Laura and Melanie.
Okay. And there was a post, it looks like this is, there, next to the word status, there's some text there. Do you recall, if you do, seeing this actual Facebook post?
Yes, I do. I love this picture.
And what was the Facebook post?
The actual status?
Yes.
The status says, my favorite moment from yesterday. Laura and Melanie, and also Tristan.
Looking at 7-2, that's another photo that appears from that same set of photos. Who's in that photo?
May and her daughter, Laura.
And you, over the years, had an opportunity to be around the children, May's children.
Yes.
Did you, well, we'll get to that. In June of 2020, or at some point in 2020, did May confide in you that she had actually moved out of the house for a period of time?
Yes, she did.
And what was your understanding of where she went?
She was staying with her youngest brother, JR, and sister-in-law, Genesis.
And did she confide in you on Facebook Messenger around that time that she had moved out?
Yes.
Looking at 7-3, if you flip to that in the binders, you recognize there's two documents from a Facebook.
She says I visited the I remember in this conversation said, don't know where in all of this. I can sleep now, and I'm also gaining weight back. I'm able to eat.
Did she express in this communication a desire to see the kids despite the fact that she had been living away from the house?
Yes. So she was explaining that he had complete control, and I know that's one of these texts. She said he let me have Tristan little victories.
Did you also speak to May on the phone, or would you say at this point, because you were in Japan, this was still primarily Facebook Messenger?
Yes.
And these two particular pages on Exhibit 7-3, these accurately reflect a communication on Facebook Messenger that you had you and May in June of 2020.
Yes.
Did she talk to you also about whether or not she should, or concerns about sharing with the children what was happening with the marriage?
In this conversation?
Just generally. 2000. Tension in her marriage. That photograph in this Facebook page.
Yes.
Who's in this photograph?
And this photo is May, me, our friend Allie, and one of our ex-coworkers, Maria.
And what color is Maria wearing?
Either pink or red.
And then as you look at the photo, who's on the left?
May,
Who's on the right?
me.
And there's someone kind of behind you. You're Can you expand on that at all, or describe what you mean by that? Yeah.
she used to be my supervisor, and we would all socialize together.
Would you describe her as a friendly person?
Yes,
Made friends easily?
definitely.
Tristan. Those two photographs. Well, actually, the photograph on the right.
Yes,
And who is that?
that's Tristan.
And did you have an opportunity to observe May around Tristan?
Yes.
And what did you observe in terms of her son Tristan? The post on the left, picture on the left looks like two.
Yes.
And that was a post that she put on Facebook. Particular thing that
Yeah. She was working on assignments at home. He expressed
and that's Tristan.
yes.
What were some of the things that she liked to do with the kids?
More recently, taking the girls looking for a lot of things to do outdoors with the kids because a lot of places were still closed. So we had several pool parties that summer I returned.
And when did you return?
By 20, and her two girls, Laura and
And the post says took them hiking yesterday. And
no, I always planned to, but I was always
And Millete's older brother back on the witness stand today as we are now in day 6 of Larry Millete's preliminary hearing.
This morning he testified. Larry asked him if he knew a hitman to, quote, get the man he suspected his wife was having an affair with. CBS 8's Kelly Hessedal joins us from the courthouse with what we've learned so far.
JP Tabalanza was on the witness stand for most of the morning. He testified he told Larry he didn't want to have anything to do with hiring a hitman. He says this conversation happened back in 2020. Now, the defense kept bringing up this suspected affair.
Mr. Millete told you that he caught your sister cheating and having an affair with another man.
Yes, he did.
You were expressing your sympathy with Mr. Millete, did you not?
I don't remember.
And it appeared during cross-examination that it was a bit frustrating for the judge. There were constant objections by the prosecution. The judge was often telling the defense things like, you're misstating the witness's testimony, or what you're asking has already been answered, or is this even relevant? Meanwhile, during the prosecution's line of questioning, we heard a timeline from JP on when he first suspected Larry had something to do with Maya's disappearance. JP told the judge he called Larry January 8th, the day after his sister vanished, but he couldn't get a hold of him. He says calls went straight to voicemail, which he says was unusual. He says he was monitoring Facebook Messenger all night, waiting to hear from Maya. That night he testified Larry FaceTimed him and told him he was at work all day and that he dropped off his son early in the morning. The next day he talked to Larry again and asked, "Where's Maya?" He testified Larry told him she's probably out hiking or at brunch with friends. When he asked again, "Where were you yesterday?" he says Larry's story changed.
Did you ever ask the defendant where he was on January the 8th?
Yes, I did ask him again.
And what did he say?
He said he went drive around, and then I asked him where. He said drive around, and then I've been beating Lazarus French fries that day, that Friday.
He said he had been driving around. Did he say he was with Lazarus on January 8th?
Yes.
Did he say where he went specifically?
No.
And Lazarus, of course, is the couple's son. Now, JP testified that after Larry's story changed about where he was that day, January 8th, he said he just got a weird feeling. And we know from court paperwork, it is the prosecution's belief that January 8th is the day that Larry disposed Maya's body. Kelly Hessedal, CBS 8.
I just remember telling her, well, if you need to leave and take a breather, you know where I live, so come over anytime. And I think we had ended the phone call. She just said, I'll be okay.
Did you ever hear any evidence or any indication that somebody was actually getting into the room that she was in?
No.
Did she ever say anything about someone trying to get in or doing anything to get into the room?
No, I don't recall.
Did you have a text conversation with her after that phone call?
I believe I did. Courtney had reached out to me and asked about if May was okay. And I said yes. I just spoke to her. What's up? And she said she's posted a picture of a door on stories, Facebook stories or Instagram stories.
So as a result of that, did you reach out to May?
Yes.
I'm going to direct you now to Courts Exhibit 8. And looking at 8-1, 8-2, and 8-3, you recognize the screenshots in those exhibits as well as the photograph on Exhibit 8-3.
Yes.
And what do you recognize the screenshots to be of?
This was our conversation.
And it starts, it looks like at 2:38 p.m. on August 12th, 2020, with "Sorry, missed your call." And that's in a blue bubble. Do you know who it is that said, "Sorry, missed your call"?
That was me.
And then there's sort of a little bit more communication, and then a couple texts down in blue, "Want to call?" ? And then the answer, "Okay." Was the blue text from you that said "Want to call"?
Yes.
And would it be consistent with around 2:40 in the afternoon that you had this phone call with her?
Yes.
And then the texts begin again that same day, now in the evening at 7:49 p.m. with a blue bubble that says, "Are you doing okay?"
Yes.
And that's you.
Yes.
And then on the next exhibit, 8-2, you and May continue to have a discussion over text.
Yes.
And did she describe at all her state of mind with regard to the marriage after you had said, "Are you doing okay?"
Yes.
And what was her feeling about the marriage at that point?
She states that she's been firmly asking for a separation, and that if he's not willing to be amicable about it, that she'll just file for a divorce. And he dismissed her and said, "You're not yourself," that he'll be back later to talk to her when she's feeling better.
And then did she actually send you a photograph?
Yes.
And these are screenshots on 8-1 and 8-2 that you provided to my investigator, correct?
Yes.
When you provided them to us, did they generate that photo that May sent in the text messages with you?
Yes.
The messages that you screenshot, were you able to actually pull up that picture on your phone now?
I do have that that picture. I do. I'm not sure if the screenshot captured it.
So in other words, though, 8-2 does accurately depict the screenshots that you sent to us, correct?
Yes,
And in that screenshot, the photo doesn't populate in the text messages?
correct.
Okay. Looking at 8-3, do you recognize the photo in that exhibit?
Yes,
And what is that a photograph of?
that is a picture of the door that she accidentally posted that day.
Well,
She says accidentally. To now, all of us girlfriends don't know if that was a cry for help.
is the photo in 8-3 the photo that she sent to you in that text exchange where it says tap to download in the text exchange?
Yes.
On Courts Exhibit 8-2?
Yes.
And does she have any concerns about the photo that she sent to you during this text exchange?
She just explained that he broke the door because she wouldn't open it. I had asked her how come it looks patched.
When you say patched, you mean that the photo that we look at in 8-3 looks like there's a patch in addition to a hole?
Right.
And what did she say?
She explained that that was from a previous time.
At a previous time what?
A previous time when they had to break through the door.
Was that kind of an unrelated situation?
That's how I took it, yes.
Okay. So the prior patch was from something unrelated to the incident on August 12th?
Yes.
Did May ever talk to you about concerns about access to her assets, her financial assets?
Yes.
When? When did she talk to you about that? More than once?
Yes.
About, how many times would you say that became a topic of conversation?
At least 3 or 4.
Can you think of any times that stand out?
Yes, we were returning from Temecula. I can't recall which month it was. Could have been October of 2020. She had driven and I sat on the passenger side, and that's where she disclosed that she was didn't have any control of their finances anymore. He had Larry had taken control of all the finances, including their investments, and she was angry that she had asked him to please don't touch certain ones. These ones are what she considered safe and for the kids, and she was angry that even those ones that she had specified he'd reinvested into Bitcoin or crypto.
Moving ahead to December, was there an incident prior to your brunch, the intervention as you called it? Was there an incident earlier in December, maybe even a few days prior, that you recall having communication with May about something that caused her concern or anger or frustration?
Yes, the latest one, mid-December, maybe on or around the 18th, she discovered that there was a phone under the bed or something that was playing subliminal messages, and she shared that with all of us girls.
Did you, was that a communication over Facebook Messenger, text message, phone call, if you recall?
It was definitely over text message. I don't remember which social.
And was that something that caused May to be frustrated within her marriage?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And some of these things that you've discussed, now moving to the quote-unquote intervention, were these some of the things that were coming to your mind in terms of how you were approaching May at this December brunch? Or, I'm sorry, yes, at the brunch with Courtney?
I think all of the occurrences were piling up at that point. I would say it's safe to say, even as late as July when I returned, that she still wanted to try to work it out. She had told me, we talked a little bit about when she had moved out and why she moved back in, and she just explained that I still love him. Obviously, he's the father of my 3 children, and I love him for that.
And did that continue, did the state of her marriage and what she wanted to do in her marriage continue to be a challenge or struggle for her from July 2020 through December?
Yes, it definitely declined from that summer to December.
And did you notice at all differences in the way she would talk about hope for repairing the marriage?
Yes, she was definitely moving towards, more and more towards divorce.
And so tell us a little bit now about this brunch mid-December where I think you said Courtney's overseas, but was it on Facebook or on FaceTime or something?
FaceTime.
And so was there something towards the end of that brunch that you recall distinctly with regard to May?
It wasn't brunch, it was more of like an
Oh.
evening.
I think you called it a gift exchange.
Yeah, it was like midday to that evening. But Courtney just said, okay, I want to talk about something, and I kind of rolled my eyes and like, okay, we're going there.
Why do you say that? Did you kind of all have different
It was
goals
such,
in friendship?
we thought about just making it light and happy. And I knew at that point it was going to take a turn and become heavier.
Why?
Because talking about her marriage was not fun.
And so what happened?
We just wanted to see where she was, how she was feeling. At that point, she had started going to therapy. Also, as the night progressed, the phone calls from him increased more and more, and he was calling, starting out every 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then he was calling every 5 minutes. So here we are talking to Courtney, and we'd have to be like, hold on. And she'd have to say, we're wrapping it up, I'll be home soon. So it was either him or the kids. He was getting the kids to call.
When you say he, talking about Larry?
Larry, yes.
Were you doing this FaceTime call on May's phone?
I don't recall.
But you recall phone calls happening?
Yes.
Okay. How frequently were the phone calls?
It increased as the night progressed.
How long were you guys, were the 3 of you and then Courtney, I guess 3 of you together that evening?
I want to say we started mid-afternoon or early evening, and then maybe ended 8 or 9.
A couple of hours?
Yeah, a few hours.
So this, when we're talking about the time that you had together, are we talking now about what, the middle or the last 15 minutes, the last half hour? what are we talking about?
The end, when we decided to call Courtney towards the end, maybe the second half of the evening, definitely. Yeah, she explained to us that she had started going to therapy, and she really liked this individual, and that he had asked her, let's,
I'm sorry. I'm not sure who you're referring to. You said individual and he. Can you identify people? It's Larry or the panel therapist or someone else?
yes, Your Honor. The therapist. She was seeing a therapist that she really liked. And she said, he seems to be helping me and walking me through what I'm going through. And she had explained that the therapist had asked, okay, well, if you take out your finances, you're going to be okay. You have a job. You do well at what you do. And you take out the kids will be okay. They're, they'll learn and accept their new norm. What are you afraid of? What's holding you back from pursuing a divorce?
Okay, that's all hearsay. So you can outline another reason why I can use it or a basis, but
Well, I
it's
think-
double hearsay.
I think she's setting up why they asked a question of May, which is going to reveal her state of mind at that moment. So I think I'm not offering this for the truth of the matter. I'm offering it for the state of mind of May's friends, who I think May was telling this to, who then formed the question back to May, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not offering it for the truth. I'm offering it for the effect on the listener of May's friends. This is something May was telling, I think, to her friends about her conversation with the therapist.
You continue. And I will not consider it for the truth of the matter.
So am I correct in understanding that May was explaining to you and Allie and Courtney about this conversation with her therapist?
Correct.
And so, as a result of May telling you this, did you or Courtney or Allie ask a question of May?
I did. I asked her, okay, so what is it? And through tears, she said, I'm afraid that Larry will hurt the kids to hurt me.
Did May, how often had you seen May cry up until that point?
I don't think I've ever seen May cry up until her marriage woes.
And this particular time that you're describing, what was May's emotional state when she said this to you?
She was crying.
And did you ask what she meant by that statement? Or is there any further explanation about what she meant by that?
No, I think we were all surprised. Surprised that it was that drastic.
How did the brunch end? Or I'm sorry, not the brunch, the evening and FaceTime call with Courtney, how did that end?
I think towards the end of the night we've had it with the phone calls. So she's like, I gotta go.
Was there further conversation after May made that statement to all of you?
I think amongst ourselves, not with May.
So after May said that, was it quiet? Was there any follow-up questions, or was it just kind of, that was sort of the end of that conversation?
I don't recall exactly. I don't believe that we had further explanation. We were all just shocked that she would say that.
Why? Why were you shocked?
Because it talked about hurting the kids.
Did May talk to you, well, did May talk to you further about her kids being a factor in her decision to divorce? In other words, to stay or to leave?
Yeah, we, like I said, we always just talked about how it would be. She knew she was facing potentially losing the house, paying alimony, paying child support ×3. And we used to just say, you'll make it, you'll be fine. Your happiness is worth it. The kids will be fine.
Would you say that her concern or worry for the kids was a motivating factor in her decision or her thought process as she moved towards divorce?
Yes, it was her #1 concern.
Your Honor, I'm about to move into another topic. I don't know if I can keep going.
You know what, it's been pretty intensive, a lot of talking, so we'll take our break now. We'll resume at 3.
City to come to order. Department 2201 is back in session.
We're back on record. Counsel and the defendant are present, and the witnesses on the stand. You may continue with your direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Timmers, we left off, we were talking about some events in mid-December. Did you see May again in late December?
Yes,
When was that?
it was December 27th for, we had gone out to brunch with our friend Allie for her birthday.
And was there any discussion at that time about the status of May and the relationship with the defendant?
Yes.
What, if any, was that conversation?
At that point, she seemed like she was moving more and more towards divorce. She was talking about where to find money because she didn't have control of her finances.
Were you aware of how much she made out of her salary?
I knew she was a GS-14 at Swarmick and had taken a GS-13 at Nightwick because she wanted a non-supervisory role to kind of figure out her marriage and spend more time with the kids. It wasn't necessarily a pay decrease. I believe she might have even gone incentive to come on to Nightwick, but she did take that lower grade per se.
But salary-wise she had do you know what her salary was?
It was well over 100K.
Do you happen to know whether or not she made more than the defendant?
Yes, as long as I've known her.
As long as you've known her, she made more money than he did?
I believe so.
And at this particular brunch, December 27th, 2020, was she expressing concern over her ability to access finances?
Yes.
And how did you know that? How was she expressing that to you?
She had explained, she had expressed that she would need money for a lawyer if it moved towards a divorce, and if she wasn't staying at the house, she would need her own place. And we kind of asked her, are you going to be able to swing that, with having to pay for the house and the kids and all that. I know she had said that her sisters were now willing to help her financially, and that we had told her in that same conversation that to not worry about money, that we got her back.
And how did you and Allie and May pay for the brunch? Were you out at a restaurant?
We were. There was only so many open at that time, but we were able to find one with outdoor seating.
How did you pay for that brunch?
May paid with her credit card, and we gave her cash for our portion and extra. She had told us that she was starting to put a little bit of cash away whenever she could, because she just didn't have any.
Was there anything else that stands out to you about that brunch?
She also said that if she did file, or when she did file for a divorce, she knows all of her valuables will start disappearing one by one, and that she was concerned with what was in the safe. She couldn't, at that point, she hadn't been able to access the safe at all. All the codes had been changed, and she said that if I could just get it open and take a picture of what's in there as proof, that's all I need to do. And we asked her, how are you going to do that? And she said, I don't know. I'm not sure yet, but I need to take a picture because everything in there is going to disappear.
Is there anything else about that brunch that you recall?
She took the Jeep that day, and we were all kind of fussing over it. And
How excited was she about that Jeep?
she loved that Jeep. She loved that Jeep. She took it over to my house when she got it, and she was showing us, my husband, all the bells and whistles on that thing. It was really impressive.
Do you recall when she got it?
I want to say November timeframe, 2020.
So the three of you did you actually go out for a drive in the Jeep or just kind of went?
We intended to. We said, take us around for a ride around the block. But when we hit the parking lot, it was clear that she needed to go. Like she was in a hurry to get home. So I said, next time. She gave Allie a ride home. They live fairly close to each other. And I said, okay, next time. That was the last time I saw her.
Were you aware about a trip to Glamis that she went with her family for New Year's?
She did.
And during that time frame, were you still communicating kind of on a daily basis?
Yes.
Would you say you communicated with her daily personally, or was it mainly through the group read, or both?
Both. I remember that particular trip. She had told me she was going to the Glamis store, and I said, let me know when you go. We're not going to be able to go, so let me know if there's any good, like, nice gear.
And so between now the brunch, December 28th, and January 7th, 2021, were you communicating then in various methods of communication? Were you texting?
Yes.
Were you Facebook Messenger?
Yes.
And Instagram also, or mainly Facebook Messenger and texting?
I don't recall Instagram so much, but definitely Messenger as a group.
And when that week, and there's a calendar behind you for January 2021, do you recall exchanging text messages with May on January 6th, 2021?
Yes, I do.
And if you could turn, if it's not too cumbersome, to flip to Exhibit 9 in the binder. And if you can just kind of look through Ms. Timmer's 9-1 through 9-17 and just look up when you've had a chance to look through those. And I'll ask you some questions about those exhibits.
Through 9-, I'm sorry.
17.
17.
That should be the last exhibit in that series.
This is a lengthy text message that we exchanged on the 6th, one-on-one.
Was there a question pending?
I had just asked her to look through it and look up once she had had a chance to review them, and I think she just anticipated my question.
Well, there's no question pending, so you can ask the question.
Yes. Do you recognize 9-1 through 9-17 as messages that you and May exchanged on January 6th, 2021?
Yes.
And those began, I think looking at 9-1, they begin at 10:35 a.m.
Yes.
And as you look through them, does it look like this text exchange was pretty kind of rapid fire text message exchange, as opposed to kind of one text message being sent and then maybe an hour later a response?
Yes.
And was this on text message on cell phone to cell phone, or Facebook Messenger, or Instagram, if you can recall?
It is iMessage.
So cell phone to cell phone?
Yes.
And in that first message, is it initiated, this text exchange, is it initiated by you or by me?
By me.
And what is the first, what generally is the subject matter of this text message exchange?
She was telling me that Larry was threatening to reopen an investigation that was previously unfounded.
And she had said, I told him I'm no longer interested in trying to make it work.
Correct.
And do 9-1 through 9-17, those were screenshots of messages between the two of you that you provided to our office?
Yes.
And during the course of the conversation, does May actually indicate that she and Larry are in a very dark place?
Yes.
Looking at 9-4. And then in 9-7 through 9-9, it appears that there's kind of some other messages within your text message string. Can you kind of explain what those are?
She had sent screenshots of conversations, looks like 3 screenshots that she had with Larry.
Was that something that she would do at times during conversations with you?
Sometimes.
And then looking at 9-14, did she again express some concern about the finances?
Yes, I had asked her if she was able to get the safe open, and she replied, no, I can't open it. And I still don't know how much is in the investments.
And she also referenced calling Derek.
Yes, she had explained to me that she had to call Derek again and give him a heads up, and she was so embarrassed about it.
How important was May's professional reputation to her?
Very important.
Looking at 9-17, there's 2 screenshots, kind of one next to one another. The blue bubble at the top, and it's on the left side of the page. So there's again 2 screenshots side by side. Ends with, you'll see the light soon enough. The decision to divorce is the hardest part. Was that your text message?
Yes.
And then her response, I'm really hoping so.
I said, yes, it will. Better days are ahead.
And was that the last messages that you and May exchanged via iMessage on your cell phone?
Yes.
There's another message then below that. It's dated Friday, January 8th, 3:41 p.m. With a photograph. Do you know, can you tell us what that is?
I had Amazon a present for Lara's birthday. And nowadays Amazon provides a screenshot or a photo whenever they've delivered something. So I took a screenshot of that and I sent it to her, and I said, "Hey, girl, you need to check your packages. There's a lot of packages at your door."
And that was January 8th at 3:41 p.m.
Yes.
Did she respond to that text message?
No.
The following day, did you have a group message exchange with May?
Yes.
And what group was that?
That was with Courtney and Allie.
Did you guys have a name for your text, your Facebook Messenger thread?
Yes, we did.
What was it called?
Work Besties.
Was it actually Work Besties 2.0?
No, 2.0 came after that, I believe.
Came after, so after the January 7th text?
I can't recall. We had potentially started a new one after May disappeared.
Ah, okay. So it was called Work Besties, and that was Allie, you, Courtney, and May.
Yes.
And on January 7th, did you hear from May in that message thread?
Yes.
Could you turn now to Courts Exhibit 10? And if you could do the same that we did with Courts Exhibit 9, if you could look through 10-1 through 10-6, and then look up after you've had a chance to review those. Do you recognize those messages, those screenshots depicted in Courts Exhibit 10-1 through 10-6?
Yes.
Do you think that you renamed the thread Work Besties 2.0 afterwards, or was that the name of it at the time, if you know?
I can't recall when that was done. I was under the impression that we archived this group, this thread at some point, and maybe by the time we took these screenshots, it had been renamed.
But these are accurate screenshots of the messages that you and Allie and Courtney and May exchanged on January 7th, 2021?
Yes.
And did you provide these to the Chula Vista Police Department or our office?
Yes.
And again, did May initiate this message thread?
Yes.
And looking at 10-1, it appears it was initiated January 7th at 5:47 p.m.
Correct.
Starts out with just argued with Larry, and he said he wants 100 custody of the kids, exclamation point, with an emoji.
Yes.
What's that emoji? Or what did you take that emoji to mean?
Which one are you talking about?
I'm sorry, the one after the exclamation point after the word kids.
It's a laughing emoji.
In your discussions with May, would she have given Larry 100% custody of the kids?
Never.
And what did May in these messages convey a particular state of mind with regard to how she was feeling about the marriage the evening of January 7th?
I think at this point it was,
Well, counsel, if this is her statement, I don't think you need to ask the witness what the declarant was thinking.
No, fair. It speaks for itself. I just, for efficiency's sake, I was just going to have her sort of summarize the substance of the messages. And Your Honor, as the fact finder, can obviously read the messages yourself. So I wasn't intending to read all of them. I was just going to have her give a general, kind of description of the messages.
That's fine,
But-
just don't ask what the person was thinking.
Fair, okay. In these messages, well, I'll read the first one just to give a sense of the rest of the messages, and we'll go from there. She says, just argued with Larry, and he said he wants 100 custody of the kids, with, I think you described it as a crying, laughing emoji. BEC, would you take that to mean because?
Yes.
Because I get mad when I'm working with, and Tristan wants to with me and watch TV while sitting on my lap. Said I don't take care of them anyway, exclamation point. I said, while working, he said other people could do it. WTF. He told my dad not to come this week, doesn't drop off Tristan to his aunt's house like he said he would, won't agree to finding alternate daycare, and somehow me trying to maintain my job is me being a neglectful mother, and he deserves 100 custody. That was the way she started out this message thread.
Yes.
And then during the course of the thread, does she talk about division of assets between the two of them? Looking at 10-2.
Yes.
She, at the top, under Maya, and that's May,
Yes.
she says, and he said he wants the house. I said, fine, buy me out, and then says, quote, how much? Like, seriously? Half of the equity, exclamation point. I think he thinks that he'd be able to use the investments that I don't have access to buy me out. But that would be a way for me to get him to divulge how much is in there. These are all messages that May sent to the group.
Yes.
And then she says, I just talked to another lawyer, and I don't think I'll be going with her. She kind of goes down a little bit and says, I need someone who would be understanding and compassionate on both sides, even if Larry gets irrational. Those were messages sent to the group.
Yes.
And then in pink, there's some pink text in the pink bubble. Who's the person in that text bubble?
I believe it would be me because everyone else is in gray.
And so, are you kind of just offering support, advice? What's your response to that? You don't have to read it, but just what are you trying to?
I basically
say?
said just give him whatever he wants.
And you say at this point I would be like, you can have it all except my kids and my sanity.
Correct.
Why did you say that?
Because that was what was most important to her. Like, take it all. Just don't take my kids. And
then she says, I know, today he called me cold-hearted and that he couldn't believe how I'm treating him, like I'm throwing him away like dirt. Those were her continued text messages in that thread.
yes.
And then in 10-4, it looks like you respond in the pink bubble, and then there's a couple of other messages down below that. Can you tell who those other messages are from?
The couple of messages below are from Courtney.
She's now responding, Courtney's now responding to the thread.
Yes.
And then in 10-5, kind of some additional messages in gray. Can you kind of walk us through, not necessarily reading them, but who's interjecting in those messages?
Courtney, May thanks us for the support, but she said she's just so tired. And Courtney's basically telling her, don't let him make you feel like that.
And then it looks like there's some conversation about kind of kids and work.
Correct.
And then you send a message that in pink looks like something about COVID and kids.
Correct.
And then January 7th at 7:52 p.m., May sent a response.
Correct. As she responded to Courtney's text from earlier.
And what is May's last message in that thread?
She said, I worry about the kids too. But yes, so far it's been mild for the kids based on what I read online talking about COVID.
And did May communicate with you and your friends at all after this message that she sent January 7th, 2021 at 7:52 p.m.?
No.
Did May ever talk to you about any plans for the future, 2021?
Yes, we were excited that Courtney was coming back, and we had planned to spend all the boys' birthdays and events together. She was trying to talk me into hiking the Grand Canyon for her 40th birthday on the 1st. She also had a trip to Hawaii planned. I can't recall if that was before or after the Grand Canyon. But I had remembered having a side text with the girls, like, are you gonna go? And we were like, well, we'll go if it's a girls trip, but if it's a family trip and she's just gonna be miserable, we're not going.
What did you mean by that?
That if Larry came along and it was a family trip, that we just didn't want to be part of that.
Did you have a conversation with her about her 40th birthday?
Yes,
When was her 40th birthday?
on May 1st, 2021.
Did she have plans for that?
Yes, she talked about hiking the Grand Canyon, and I was telling her how I wasn't interested. I said, I'll meet you at the end. But I did end up going for her.
Did she talk about redecorating her house?
Yes. We received our household goods from moving back from Japan late October, and she had said, hey, can you keep some of your boxes for me? My in-laws are moving out, and I want to pack things up and redecorate my house the way I want to redecorate my house.
What was your understanding of when her in-laws moved out of the house?
They moved out right before Christmas week, which we thought was strange, but
2020?
yes.
Since, well, prior to January 7th, 2021, how often did you communicate with May?
Every day.
Have you seen or heard from May Millete since January 7th, 2021?
No.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no other questions.
Okay, cross-examination.
Thank you, Yana. Good afternoon, Ms. Simmers.
Afternoon.
When you and May worked at Balboa Hospital, did May and Larry often carpool together?
I don't recall.
And when you left for a job in Japan, where was May working at the time when you left?
At Swarmick.
Before you left for Japan, did you observe Mr. Millete visiting May at Swarmack?
Sometimes.
How often did that happen?
Occasionally.
Starting 2020? Before you left? Or after you come back? Or after you came back in July?
Let's May, Ms. Bacon, it is outside the scope of direct. Did you talk about that? Did you ask?
I only asked, I think I asked about, they met at Balboa Hospital. Ms. Timmers and May met at Balboa Hospital.
Okay, these are questions about the defendant visiting her.
I did not ask any questions about that.
Okay, so that's outside the scope and it appears to be discovery related.
Okay. When did you first find out that Miss Millete was having a problem with her husband?
Early 2020?
Do you recall the month?
No.
When you first heard that she was having marital problems with her husband, what did you understand the essence of that marital problem?
No.
When she sent you those text messages and informed you that she moved out of her house, did she give you a reason why she moved out of the house?
Objection misstates the testimony
Because
because there's no testimony that she sent her text messages telling her that, well, I'll withdraw it. I'll let the witness who wants to answer and clarify if there's any clarification to be done.
okay. Did you understand the question?
Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. A few months later, you said that May told you she had moved out and was happier.
Yes.
Do you recall that?
Yes.
Yes. And do you know why she moved out of her house?
I believe just to get some space.
What was
Some
your
space.
What was your understanding about space?
That Larry was just becoming overbearing and she needed space to clear her head, decide what she was going to do.
Did she describe to you why Mr. Millete was overbearing?
No, from my understanding, he'd always been like that.
You mean from the time you met Mr. Millete and Miss Millete, he was that way?
Yes.
Asked and answered.
Okay. This, do you consider that's a habit of Mr. Millete?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Did you consider that as Mr. Millete's habit
To be controlling?
of calling and overbearing?
At that time,
Was Mr. Millete withdraw that. On July 2020, during your birthday, you and Miss Millete had a joint birthday party together. Did Larry or Mr. Millete attend your party?
we did not have a birthday in July. I arrived after my birthday in July.
Did you celebrate your birthday together?
No.
Do you remember celebrating your birthday and Miss Millete's birthday when you came back from Japan?
No.
Okay, so you never celebrated your birthday together with Miss Millete?
No, so she's already answered that question.
No, I mean before like the prior years.
Oh, prior years?
Yes.
Objection relevance?
Sustained.
Do you recall a statement you made to the police officers that in July 2020 you came back from Japan, May and you had a joint birthday party together and Larry was present.
Counsel, can you point to when that statement was allegedly made and to whom?
On or about January 19, 2021, you spoke with Officer Vicente. Do you recall that?
I don't recall the exact date.
It's a long statement, Charter. When I find the location, I will come back to it.
I don't see the relevance of them
Okay.
having had a joint birthday party together prior to 2020. I fail to see any relevance in that.
Okay. When you came back from Japan, did you already know that Miss Millete was having marital problems? Or not?
Yes.
The photographs which you identified earlier, let me just get to them. Seven point four or 7-4.
Yes.
You identified this photograph as a photograph of your friends on August 2020. Is that right?
Yes.
And this was held in Temecula?
Counsel, I'm not going to have you go through every bit of her testimony that she's testified on in direct, especially photographs. Photograph of them in Temecula, and I think it speaks for itself.
Yeah, and I'm leading to a question. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. And can I ask her?
Understand my concerns.
Yes, I do.
Ask your question.
This happened on a Saturday wherein you and your group normally went to have a brunch with wine and alcohol, correct?
I'm sorry, what do you mean by normally?
Did you just have that one time where you met and you didn't follow through with that again?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Okay. On the weekends, did you meet with Miss Millete and your friends in Temecula and drank wine and alcohol?
I wouldn't say normally or regularly, occasionally.
Can you describe how often you did that?
Not relevant.
When you describe a party that your group, your friends and Miss May Millete attended in Allison's, residence. Do you recall that Miss Millete drank excessively that day?
Not excessively. May was not much of a drinker.
Did you recall that she was not able to go home and slept at Allison's house?
No.
You knew May for a long time. Did you know that May did not take the children to school and that the grandparents did that task for her?
Do you find this relevant? Is this going to help me? Read up, Jack. Right. I don't find it relevant.
It's okay.
I've listened to this witness's testimony, and the witness has described some photographs. The gist of her testimony is that May had a very close relationship with her children, that there was a level of communication that consisted of May and her friends, that there was a concern regarding divorce and her being able to support herself, and there's a timeline as to how her relationship deteriorated with the defendant. Those are the issues that have been covered on direct examination, and I don't need to hear information regarding how often she went out drinking or to that extent. So
Yeah.
you listened to the direct examination, and I expect the questions on cross-examination
Yes, Your Honor.
to reflect the questions that were asked on direct. And this is a preliminary hearing, it's not a trial.
I understand, Your Honor. I'm trying my
You don't
best
have
to
say
limit.
anything. I've told you what my concern is. Please follow my direction.
Let me direct your attention again to the holes in the door, which is, I believe, I'm sorry. There are two holes in that door, and you testified one of the holes was made by Miss Millete, and the other one was made by Mr. Millete. Is that right?
Objection, misstates the testimony.
Sustained.
Can you identify which hole Miss Millete created in the door?
Objection, misstates the testimony and calls for speculation, lack of foundation.
Sustained.
During that time that when you were talking to Miss Millete in her bedroom, did you hear any complaints from Miss Millete that Mr. Millete hurt her at that time?
Which incident are you referring to?
Did she tell you that Mr. Millete hurt her at that time?
Counsel, your question's vague. You need to
Okay.
tell me which date you're talking about. The exhibits in 8-1,
8-1.
they talk about that time. She said the witness thought that she had locked herself in a room. Anyway, you heard the testimony. If you have a question regarding a certain date, then you should
Okay.
be specific in your question. There's an August 2020 phone call. That appears to be the incident where the witness testified she believed May had locked herself in a room. Are you referring to the August 2020 phone call?
I am looking at the August 12, 2020 photograph 8-2.
And you can ask your question, rephrase it, giving the witness some context as to the date and time and location.
Okay. August 12, 2020, Ms. Millete said that Larry blames everything and everyone else. Did you understand what he meant by that?
It was just a statement by May.
Did you understand what she meant by everyone else?
I interpreted it that Larry was the problem and he didn't see that.
Did she verbalize to you why Larry was the problem?
In all of our text conversations, all of her complaints, cumulatively,
This August 12, 2020, did she verbalize to you why Larry was the problem?
I don't understand what you're asking. Over the phone call? Verbalize over the phone call? Explain to me? Or
Right. While you were talking to May on August the 12, 2020, did she tell you why Larry is the problem?
All right. I don't see the relevance to this question. You can move on.
This is a time frame wherein she's alleging that Mr. Millete was doing all this abusive behavior and controlling behavior. So I'm just trying to understand what the controlling behavior and abusive behavior on August 12, 2020, when in fact the witness said they were trying to have counseling. They were trying to work out their marriage. She said, Miss Millete said, sometimes I still love him. And at this time, August 12, she's talking about divorce.
Well, the problem, counsel, is this witness, you're asking this witness to speculate as to the thought process and what was going on in Maya's mind. The witness can testify as to Maya's demeanor or statements that were made, but now you're trying to ask her to tell us what Maya was thinking, and that is something that this witness lacks foundation to do. The statements speak for themselves.
Okay. On August 12, 2020, based on your discussions with Miss Millete, was it your understanding that at that time she had made up her mind to file for divorce?
no.
When Miss Millete told you that she was not herself, was that part of the confusion and the misunderstanding between her and Mr. Millete?
Objection. Vague misstates the testimony.
Sustained relevance.
well, yeah, but she's blaming Mr. Millete, and I think she's the one that, Miss May is the one that's confused. She says, I'm not myself.
This is not the witness to ask. If you got the statement into evidence, you may make that argument to the court.
Well, isn't it true that Miss Millete told you that Larry broke the door because he was worried about May?
No.
If you look at 8-2,
Mm-hmm.
where it says
Yes.
he broke the door because I won't open it, he said he was worried about me. Miss Millete was saying that to you. He sent that to you.
She said that. He said that.
Yeah. You did not really know the finances of Mr. and Mrs. Millete, right?
Objection relevant.
Sustained.
When Mr. Millete was knocking on the door of Miss Millete's room, did you hear him say anything violent towards Miss Millete?
No.
Isn't it true that in general you describe Mr. Millete as a typical husband who has a sense of humor? Is that right?
Objection vague as to time.
Sustained. Are you talking about that interview with the Julius, the police department officer? Or you have to give her more context.
Okay.
She's like,
Well, during the interview on January 19, 2021, you made a statement that overall you were describing Larry, a typical husband who has a sense of humor. Is that
Objection
correct?
improper impeachment. I think this is not inconsistent. It's not inconsistent. Question
I'll
has-
allow it in. It's fine. You can answer. Do you remember, if you need to see the report to refresh your recollection as to your entire statement, you're welcome to do that.
I would agree to that earlier in the marriage.
And that Larry would joke about how Maya was his sugar mama. You remember that?
Yes.
And in addition, you stated that Mr. Millete or Larry did not have any negative interactions with May. She make those statements, right?
Objection vague as to time.
I'm referring the same statement issued by the witness on January 19, 2021. Your Honor.
You can answer the question. You can cover it on redirect if you need to.
Can you ask again, please?
You made statements on January 19, 2021 that you did not notice any major negative interactions with Larry and Maya.
Yes.
When May discovered these subliminal messages, did she express to you that she was damaged by the subliminal messages?
Damage in what sense?
Emotionally, psychologically, mentally?
No, she was just angry about it.
And did she tell you why?
Because she couldn't believe her husband was doing that to her.
At any time during 2020, did May express to you that she was scared of Mr. Millete?
She was just scared of him hurting the children. Towards the end of the year.
What was your understanding about Mr. Millete going to hurt their children?
That's what she said.
Did she explain what she meant by that?
No, she stated it simply.
Had you known Mr. Millete to hurt their children?
No.
May discuss with you had plans to separate from Mr. Millete. When did she discuss that with you?
I don't recall when it went from separation to divorce exactly.
When she left Mr. Millete in May of 2020 and did not return to their house until June of 2020, were you in touch with May during that period of time?
Yes.
Did you understand why she did not take her children when she left in May of 2020?
Did you ask about that on direct? I'm going to find that question not relevant.
Okay,
It's
that's fine.
discovery related. I think it's been asked and answered, covered on direct.
But she was concerned about locating a place to live. Is that right?
No, I don't think that was her intent at the time.
During 2020, did you help Miss Millete look for a place to live?
No.
Did she tell you she was looking for a place to live?
Yes. I think she was just kind of exploring.
During the time that around December of 2020, when you and your friends and Miss Millete were discussing about her problems in her marriage. Miss Millete said to the group, "I don't think he would hurt me." You remember that?
No.
When you testified regarding May hiding money from Larry, how was May hiding money from Larry?
I don't know.
You recall that you, on January 19, 2021, one of the statements you made to the officers was, you met with May and you noticed May hiding money from Larry. May would not pay with a card and she would allow her friends or sister to pay for her or gave her cash. Call that?
Yes.
How many times did May do that to Larry?
Objection, this states the testimony and characterizes the testimony.
You can answer. You know.
I don't know.
Did May express to you that she needed to get through the weekend of January the 8th through January the 10th, 2021?
Yes.
What did you understand that to mean?
They had planned a birthday weekend in the mountains for Laura, and she wanted it to be a happy weekend, and she had made her divorce appointment for that following Tuesday after the weekend.
On May 5th, 2020, May told you and your other friends that they were trying to work things out and that they were not completely clear. What was your understanding about what May said regarding that? Not
Objection.
completely clear.
Vague, and I don't know if counsel's referring to an exhibit or some particular statement.
Sustained, vague.
During a messenger text thread between May, Courtney, Janelle, Nixon, you, and Ali Balkanin, when you were talking about hiking the Grand Canyon, she mentioned that Larry and her are trying to work things out. And they're not completely in the clear. Did she elaborate what she meant by that?
Alright, relevance.
Did she share with you whether the counseling was getting better or getting worse or the same?
I know she liked the counseling. She liked the therapist.
Was she getting better or not?
Objection.
Calls for speculation.
Okay.
Sustained.
And the state's testimony that she was needed to get better.
About May 7, 2020, May told you and the rest of the friends that you guys gave her some clothes. Do you recall that?
That doesn't seem relevant.
Okay. Well, on May 5th, 2020, she said they were working things out. And then by May 7th, May said that she was angry at Larry. Do you know the source of why she was angry at Larry?
No.
Your answer's stricken. The question's not relevant. There are operative dates here, and it's around the first week of January, the first full week of January, and Ms. Millete's disappearance and the charges that have been filed. Every little thing that occurred in March and May is not relevant to these proceedings.
Can I ask this question that in August of 2020, May expressed to you that she was scared of a man that she met while she was jogging or hiking. You recall that one?
No, I don't recall.
When you were discussing the division of assets with May and your friends, did you understand that Larry was being unfair to her in the division of assets?
Objection, relevance. As to what this witness thought.
Why is that relevant?
Well, Your Honor, there is this discussion, extensive discussion, where you have the witness advising May to just give him everything but the children. And if that was in fact true, I believe I wanted to elicit testimony whether May was agreeable with that and there was supposed to be an amicable divorce or not. Because she ended up calling a lawyer.
I'm going to sustain the objection. At best, you can ask if she harbored any bias against Larry, given how the marriage was dissolving. Any bias that she might have to go to her credibility. So if you want to ask about that, it's fine, but I don't want you asking her what she thinks Maya thought.
Were you favoring May's position in this divorce versus Mr. Millete's position?
I don't believe so. I'm telling her to give him whatever he wants, physically. Except, obviously, the children.
Did she express to you whether that would be something she was considering or agreeable to?
I believe towards the end she was willing to give that.
did you understand why Miss Millete could not access any of their accounts?
No, I didn't know why or how or
Did you-
when.
Did you believe her when she told you that she did not have access to the accounts?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
But shows her bias, Your Honor. But just was there any time during the December or December 2020 and January 2021, did May express to you that she just want to run away?
No, I don't remember.
In December of 2020, isn't it true that May was not having a good relationship with her in-laws?
I don't know.
And she expressed to you that in fact her mother-in-law was mean.
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Did May express to you that she was happy her in-laws were leaving?
Yes.
In addition to that, on or about December 7, 2020, May told you that she hates how Larry has the same attitude of her mother.
I'm sorry, same attitude, what?
Her mother, that Larry has the same attitude as her mother, as his mother, I'm sorry.
Don't recall.
And in addition, on that same day, May said, Larry is like that, sometimes like her mother. And it's taken her asking for separation for him because of this attitude of her mother.
All right. Seems like it's common hearsay.
Okay, yeah.
Useful hearsay. It is.
Oh.
Hearsay. Sustained.
At the same time you were talking to May 12/7, on December 7, 2020, May told you and the friends that she thinks that all you need to just go away.
Objection vague.
That's the statement she made, Your Honor. She told the friends that all we need to do is just go away. She didn't say that?
All right, well, okay. Are you pointing to an exhibit or?
Well, I can show her, Your Honor, the.
No, we're not going to show her unless she
Okay,
says she
do it.
doesn't remember. You have to lay the proper foundation before you approach the witness.
Okay.
To show them the document. All right. So you want to rephrase the question? Give some context.
Do you remember that Miss Millete said on December 7, 2020, quote, I think we all need to just go away, unquote.
Do you remember that?
Not exactly. Is there an exhibit?
If I show you a document, would that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Okay, you can approach and you can show it to her. All right, she's going to show you the exchange that she's been referring to. I want you to read the information, the document silently to yourself. Then you can look up and tell me if that refreshes your recollection.
Can I get a base number on that?
159.
1510?
159.
159?
Yeah.
Yes, I got it.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, yes.
All right. Has your recollection been refreshed?
Yes.
You may ask your question, please.
Now that you had the opportunity to look at your written statement, is that true that May?
Objection mischaracterizes what the witness is referring to. It is not a witness statement.
Well, the question's vague, so she's just refreshed her recollection. You need to ask the question in its entirety again.
This did May express to you and the rest that you all just need to go away?
Yes, she does say that.
Thank you.
Do you want to retrieve the document now?
Yes, Your Honor. But I
Yes,
want
my
to show,
fatal
I want to show her that document, but just go ahead.
Well, no, wait a minute, counsel. Again, if you want to refresh your recollection as to a different statement, you need to ask.
Oh, I know, Your Honor.
You need to
I
lay the
just
proper
tried-
foundation.
Yes, I do. On January 7, 2021, at around noontime, like 12, 11, May was still talking to you and the other friends. and she made a statement, sometime soon, I need to get away somewhere without my kids and Larry.
Is that a question?
Did she say that?
I believe so.
Thank you. No more questions, Sharon?
Redirect.
Yes. Ms. Timmers, do you still have that exhibit in front of you?
No, I do not.
Exhibit of the
Oh,
doc.
I'm sorry, the document.
No, my bailiff gave back the date stamp 1509, 1510.
Just referring to the statement that was made December 7th, 2020, I think we all need to just go away, ... Was the remainder of that statement, LOL, wish I could just go somewhere and be alone for a couple of days?
A couple of days, yes.
So what was the entire statement?
What you,
We asked her what the entire statement was.
Well, I don't think she would know it verbatim from heart by heart, but
All right, well,
is the
and then
entire
that's-
statement, I think we all need to just go away, ... LOL, wish I could just go somewhere and be alone for a couple days.
yes.
And what does LOL mean?
Laughing out loud. She's joking.
And as a mom and having conversations with your friend who's also a mom with children working, was there ever a time that you and May would joke about wanting to get away?
Sure.
And then you were also asked about a statement made on January 7th around noontime about wanting to get away without kids and Larry. Wasn't then a subsequent statement made, I think I found my law firm, ... Broad Law. They focus on family practice only and not a general law firm. They answer my questions and their prices are reasonable and within the price range I've been expecting. My intake appointment is Tuesday next week. Wish me luck, ladies.
Good question.
Was that the follow-up statement in the exchange with you and the friends?
Yes, I believe so.
Thank you. No other questions?
Recross.
No repercussions.
Midwin's the excuse.
Yes.
All right, thank you, ma'am. That concludes your testimony. All right, let's talk about tomorrow.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Martinez, I understand that you won't be available to start at 9.
Your Honor, this is just a case management.
I can't read.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I do have a case management conference in the morning at 9, and I also have another case management conference in the afternoon at 1:30. I earlier made arrangement for my other lawyer that works in my office, but I was just informed recently that he couldn't make it. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I instructed my office to call the departments. They were able to get hold of, I believe, Department 26, and they notified the court that I do have a preliminary hearing in your courtroom, and they indicated to my office that they would give me priority at